Namaste. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what does crying in a spiritual awakening means and how can we evolve when we are crying and how do we interpret these tears. Next is the buzzing noise one hears inside their head. It feels like plenty of bees are fluttering their wings inside your brain. What does this mean and how is this connected to the Buddhi Chakra that is there inside the head? Then the third objective is to understand who Goddess Shakambari Devi is and how she is connected with your spiritual awakening process. If somebody has addictions, how can they overcome their addictions with the help of Goddess Shakambari Devi? To live healthily, we need a healthy ego. The seat of the ego is at the stomach level, the level of the Manipura chakra. This is where the limited being, that is the Jiva, this is where the Jiva resides. The Jiva is your presence as a limited being in this lifetime. This Jiva, he operates predominantly from ego. That is, the individual consciousness is expressing itself in the external reality through its ego. It is using ego as a filter to perceive things, to absorb things, to think, to emote, to understand the reality. There are many filters, and all these filters, they represent various aspects of our ego or various expressions of our ego. The more filters we have, the less we will be able to understand the truth that operates the external reality. When we have too many filters, these filters can come from our experiences, they can come from our beliefs, from our thoughts, from our environment, from our genes. These filters, they corrupt your understanding of external reality and they do not allow you to be self-aware. Simple. When there is a strong sense of self in a healthy way, it can only come when we have few of these filters. Our body and mind, it is an information processing unit. When we are processing information and we have a lot of filters, we cannot see the truth within ourselves and the external reality. We start reacting to external situations rather than responding, rather than understanding the truth in the situation. If we are having few filters, we can see the truth in the external situation, we can postpone gratification, we make better decisions, and we have good physical, mental, and emotional health. We can gain mastery over our emotions and thoughts. So generally, people who are in pain, suffering, who are desolate, who are greedy, who are codependent, who are addicted, the ones who are very angry, the ones who have too much of hatred, envy, have control issues, trust issues, they have security issues, they're very impatient, they're very fearful. These type of people, they have too many filters. So that when they are looking at an external situation, they look at the external situation through all these filters. And then they react to the external situation. So what is happening here is the person has too many of his own filters and he is processing all that information that is coming from the external reality through all these filters. By the time the external information is coming through all these filters, the information is already corrupted. And this corrupted information is read by the mind incorrectly and the person reacts to the external situation either trying to avoid pain or to gain something. Otherwise, a person will not take any action. So these are basically keeping us caught up in our lower animalistic drives. In such a situation, the ego is not operating healthily. When the ego is operating healthily, we can process various emotions correctly. Let it be anger, let it be fear. We are able to process these things within our stomach itself. And the vagus nerve plays a major role here. When we are able to process the external information correctly and not use our filters to filter information here, what happens here is the correct information, or we can see the truth in the external reality. And when the truth reaches our brain, we do not react to it from our lower fight and flight mechanism. Rather, we are using our higher intelligence here to decode the information that we have got from the external situation. And then we correctly respond to the external situation. When we are doing this, we are creating a healthy egoic state within us. We are becoming more intelligent, wiser, emotionally stable people. We are more self-aware. This is the change that person will experience when they are rising up in their spiritual evolution. Instead of keeping their anger within themselves or transferring that anger to somebody else and causing pain externally, or keeping that anger within and seething with anger, that anger becomes hatred, then it becomes vindictive in nature, and then this person goes around creating enemies. He looks at the other person as a threat. He gets into fights or he wants to take revenge. Instead of doing all these things, the person is processing his anger at the very beginning in his digestive system. The Manipura chakra, the stomach center, is where the fire is burning. The fire element is present there. And this fire element, it not only digests your food, it even processes your emotions, it processes information, it processes your thoughts. And when this fire burns bright, it burns correctly, you are able to process a lot of negative emotions also and transform them into higher awareness, higher understanding, or you're able to transform negative emotions into higher emotions like forgiveness. This kind of the force that is required, the fire that is required to digest these thoughts comes from the stomach chakra. And this fire element which is there in the stomach chakra, it keeps your ego healthy. You will notice that when you grow spiritually, you are able to digest your emotions within your stomach. For example, my experience, even when I'm on an empty stomach and something outside of me angers me for a split second, I immediately feel that fire in my belly. And after a while, I feel my vagus nerve activating. And that path, the path of the vagus nerve, I think it helps to process this emotion. And simultaneously, I notice that the electromagnetic field of my body, the Apana Vayu that is there, that starts rising up. And it takes up all my anger out of my body. Now my body has become a kind of a processing unit, which is not allowing the accumulation of negative things. Rather, anything that is coming into its zone, any negative emotion, a lower level or lower vibrational thing is coming into my zone, it is immediately getting transformed into something more better or more beautiful, like higher awareness, higher understanding, seeing the reality even better. This is not feeding my ego. This is not feeding the fight and flight mechanism within me. Rather, this is getting rooted to a higher level of awareness. That is the Buddhi or your higher intelligence. Some call this as the higher self too. And then this higher self within you, that processes the information and you get a correct understanding of the external situation, your own inner reality, your level of self-awareness, and then you respond to the external situation. Here, the filters are not there. The filters are falling away. And that is why you're able to see the truth. When the ego is working correctly, we are able to process our various emotions, thoughts, we are more self-aware. Because of that, we have more clarity in the situation. You have higher decision making and problem solving skills. You are able to navigate through life without getting trapped into lower vibrational things or lower vibrational states. You are more wiser. And for you to do this, the fire in the Manipura chakra should burn bright. This is the main processing unit in your body. You may have met people in your life who cannot maintain discipline. They have too many addictions. They have personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder, or they have obsessive personality disorders. They have eating disorders, schizophrenia. They have panic disorders, mood disorders, or rather, uh, they are not living from a level of higher intelligence. They are continuously caught up in their old loops, in their old fears, in their old desires, and they keep on running to the same program all their life. They're not learning or moving beyond their programming, or rather, they're not able to reprogram themselves. Such people, if you see very closely, they are not using their higher intelligence. Their reactions to life are coming from a lower level of fight and flight mechanism working in their body. They are just living their life reacting to external situations. They are not self-aware. And when you're not self-aware, you cannot solve a problem. You cannot find solutions. You have too many filters. And because you're looking at the world through too many filters, you cannot see the truth. For example, if somebody feels that they can trust anybody, such a person will attract a wrong person into their life. And this person has already made a decision that they can trust this person. So no matter how bad their partner, romantic partner is behaving with them, they're already wearing these colorful, positive, romantic glasses. So no matter how their partner behaves with them, even if they get physically abused, mentally abused, initially they will process all that information through these rosy glasses. They do not understand that they're dealing with somebody who has problems, because their own filters, their own codependency issues, their own insecurity issues, their ego is not working healthily. It is not processing information correctly. Then they get married to this person and they start experiencing abuse by their partner. And then they stick on in that relationship because now they are looking at the world and the relationship through the lens of fear. The fear keeps them trapped in the lower state. So they are not seeking solutions. They are not able to take decisions. Rather, they have sort of resigned to suffering. They are not trying to come out of that state. To even take that step to change your life, you need your ego to work properly. Your life should be in your control. The ego should not control your life. Rather, the higher intelligence should control your life. When the ego is controlling your life, life goes haywire. You live as a victim to situations, or rather, you become a perpetrator or a rescuer in another situation. All these various types of drama that keeps on playing on in our life, it comes because our ego is not working the way it should work. Because ego only knows anger, it knows pride, it knows arrogance, it knows greed, hatred, beliefs, behaviors. Ego only knows these things. As long as ego is running your life, you will be cut off from higher wisdom and higher intuition. Your own inner power, it cannot get expressed to the external world when you are in the clutches of the ego. But when your life is run by a higher intelligence, your higher self, you are more in touch with your inner intuition. You are more self-aware. You are wise. You're creative. You have a mission for life. You become a beautiful flower in the God's garden. And when the higher self is running your life, you have a healthy ego. You will be able to immediately transmute a lot of lower negative things into higher awareness and knowledge. Generally, people who have suffered a lot of abuse or pain, trauma, these type of people, they need to heal. When they have a spiritual awakening process, the early part of the process, it helps us to release away a lot of these lower negative emotions, experiences from our system. As we are healing, we are rising up in our vibration. The picture that you see here is the flower of life. The flower of life, it represents inner healing. As the energy is moving up the chakras, we are healing. In our body, we have many sheaths. The physical sheath, then the pranic sheath, then the astral sheath, and then we have the causal sheath. In the pranic sheath, we have something called the Apana Vayu. As long as this Apana Vayu is moving downwards in our body, we are not spiritually growing. For us to grow, the Apana Vayu has to turn upwards. And when the pranic forces in your body start turning and moving upwards in your body, that is when you are correctly able to process your information. As I said earlier in this video, we are just a unit which processes information. As I said early in this video, our body mind is an information processing unit. All that you see around, that you receive is information. That information moves through us. If you are treating that information as threatening, or if the person is greedy, then the energy predominantly works in the lower three chakras. That is, this person is living his life reacting to external situations. He is caught up in behavioral loops. He has addictions. He is not able to look at life correctly. So he may be having trauma, or he may be very arrogant. Ego expresses itself in a variety of forms. It could be greed, it could be pain, it could be suffering, it could be anger, it could be pride, jealousy, lust. These are just different forms of the ego expressing itself. When the person is living life from the lower three chakras, the energy is working there, and everything gets experienced as pain or as anger or trauma or jealousy or lust. That is how we sort of react to what happens to us in life. A human being, a normal human being, is a little better than an animal. For animals, the highest chakra is the Muladhara chakra. When the Muladhara in the animal, it opens, the next lifetime it is born as human. So we are just one level above the animal. But when we evolve spiritually, we are operating from a very high level, and that is the level of the Buddhi, or the higher self, which I will talk about a little later. When we are operating from the Buddhi or the higher self, we are not looking at life from the lens of anger or fear or hatred, or through our addictions or through our behavioral loops. We are not looking at the world like that. Rather, our intelligence is working beyond that, and we are able to look at life beyond that. Then we are able to see or understand the truth in the external reality, and we are more aware. We are aware of our shortcomings. This is where our body vibrational level changes instantly. Maybe in one lifetime or few lifetimes, we are operating from a very high level of spiritual intelligence. There is a connection between our stomach and the brain. The fire element that is burning in the stomach, that same fire, it burns in the brain. And where does this burn? This burns in the insular cortex. This is the insula. This is human brain, and the two green parts which you see in two brain areas, that is the left and right brain, that is the insula. You are seeing the insula from 360-degree angles, how it appears inside our brain. That image is shown here. In the right image here, that is the image of our brain, and the blue parts that you see, two parts in each brain, that is your insula. And this insula is your Buddhi Chakra. Your Buddhi Chakra is your higher self, your higher intelligence. You hear a voice inside your head that is asking you questions like, what are you doing with your life? Why are you behaving like this? Why don't you change? It feels like God is talking to you. You listen to certain messages in your head and you think that God spoke with you. You interpret this voice as God's voice. That voice or that higher self is this Buddhi Chakra. On the left hand side, the chakra system image you see here, the lower part you see it something like an eye. That is your Agya Chakra, the third eye chakra. Just above the Agya Chakra, you have the Manas Chakra. Manas is your mind. On top of Manas Chakra, you have the Buddhi Chakra. This is where the insula in your brain, this is where the gut, the stomach area of your brain is connected to. When I spoke about the brain and gut connection, I'm referring to the connection between the digestive system and this Buddhi Chakra, or rather the digestive system and this insula region in your brain. I'm sure that many of us had experiences where we have decided to do a particular activity, and then in the last minute you have this tension in your stomach. It is like something inside of you is telling you that you're doing the wrong thing and it is telling you not to do it. The gut feeling. You can never be wrong with it because this gut feeling is coming from your higher self, the Buddhi Chakra. It knows more than you. For example, say there is a man who wanted to marry a lady. He's been thinking of proposing to her. He's been in relationship with her. And one day he decides to propose to her. He buys a ring, he goes to her. He is all prepared to propose now. Just when he is about to propose, he has this gut feeling, a tension in his stomach that is telling him not to do this. And listening to that inner gut feeling, he does not propose to that woman. He leaves the scene. And few years later, when he gets wiser, he understands how his inner gut feeling, it saved him from marrying the wrong person. So from where is this gut feeling coming? It is coming from your Buddhi Chakra, your higher self. Your Buddhi Chakra or your higher self is working along with the Manipura Chakra or the gut region, the digestive tract. That is why when people eat less, they are doing fasting, they are more intuitive. They are in touch with their inner self. And this comes because the digestive tract is empty. The fire which was supposed to work in the belly is now working in the insula region. And that is why the person, they get wiser. You'll see after a while that their eyes are brighter. When somebody is spiritually awakening, you will see that their eyes shine. They shine with deep knowledge. And this is the fire element that is there in the insula. In my experience, insula is what you can call the higher intelligence or your higher self. The same fire that burns in your belly, it burns here also. That is why when people eat too much, they're continuously eating, you will notice that they're not very intelligent. Because the fire is just burning in their belly. It is only when you eat correctly, you have good food choices, you allow your stomach to rest, you fast. The fire in the belly, it starts burning in the Buddhi Chakra level. That same fire works there. And here it gets transformed into fire of knowledge. That is why when we are very deeply into reading something or doing some job, you don't feel hungry. You don't feel hungry because that fire is working here as fire of knowledge. But when you just sit down, lazing around, you don't do anything, you're not thinking much, you're not doing much, you feel more hungry because that fire is now working in your belly. So it's the same fire which is digesting food in your belly. Then this is the same fire which is burning as the fire of knowledge in your higher Buddhi Chakra. Your Buddhi Chakra is connected to your stomach. Whatever processing that is happening at the stomach level, that information reaches your insula, your thoughts, your emotions. Even when these thoughts are coming through filters, when I say filter, I simply means that when you are looking at the external reality, you are looking at the external reality through certain aspects within you. It could be your own pain, it could be your own fear, it could be your own past experience, or it could be your judgment. When you are looking at the external reality through these lens, different lens, one over other, I'm calling these as filters because these are filtering the information that is coming to you. The more number of filters you have, the more distorted the information will be read by you or by your body or by your brain. So you will be in a mode where you are reacting. The insula in our brain, when the fire of knowledge is not burning bright there, the gray cell in it is less. The insula is also not very thickly formed in your brain. In such a scenario, your perception of external reality will be distorted. In few, the insula is damaged. When the insula is damaged, the person can have narcissistic personality disorders, schizophrenia. They could be very addicted, and they display a lot of lower animalistic behaviors. They are generally angry, hateful, spiteful. They go around doing a lot of damage to others because here the higher intelligence, which sort of makes a human wiser in ways, that is not working properly within them. The insula is connected to the amygdala. The amygdala is your fear center. It processes fear in your brain. So every situation is seen as a threatening situation, and the person reacts from the fight and flight mechanism. So he goes around fighting with people and then causing pain to others, or he will hide in fear, or he will get greedy and do something only out of greed, or he cannot postpone gratification. So all these behaviors come into a person's life when the insula is not processing information correctly. I have established the link between the gut and the Buddhi Chakra or the insula. The insula is what we use when we are planning, organizing, memorizing things. The systematic, logical way in how we try to organize thoughts or even the things that we do in our external life, it all comes from the insula. So you will notice that people who are good at organizing things, they are good at other things too. They know how to organize their life. They are good at problem solving. They are looking for solutions, not for problems. Whereas when the insula is not working properly, a person's life is full of problems. He creates problems for himself and others around him. Our ability to empathize with others, to make a connection with people in your life, animals, plants, your surroundings, where you make a connection with everything that is there. You feel connected to nature. All these higher level empathetic situations in your life, or peaceful, joyous situations in your life, they come when the insula is working properly. You question yourself, you question your reality, you are more self aware. And when your insula is working correctly, your inner discretion is working correctly, you are able to give up a lot of wrongful ideas that you hold, ideas which are against universal values, and even your behaviors which are keeping you caught up in behavior loops, or the programming which is driving your life, which comes from lower ego. You are able to give up all those things because they are getting burnt away, they're getting processed away from your life. Why? Because the fire element which is there in your belly is burning the ignorance in you at the level of the Buddhi Chakra, and it is removing away all unnecessary, unwanted, dysfunctional ideas, beliefs, programs from your life. You need this fire to work within you brighter, so that your higher self will now lead you in your life. So your life here is moving away from the ego to the higher self, and the higher self knows more than you. For example, say there's a person standing on the road, and he unknowingly, he moves aside, he takes few steps aside, and after taking 3-4 steps aside, he is surprised as to why he moved to a new place. Rather, he felt like maybe some force sort of pulled him to the other direction. And then he suddenly notices that there is a vehicle, a car that is moving by him. Had he been in his original position, he would have been hit by that car. But some higher force, some high power took control of his body, and that higher force just moved his body few feet away. And this person was unaware. He was caught up in his own thoughts. He was not present in the situation when this happened. This surprises the person. He thinks that the God has pushed him into a safe zone and helped him or saved his life. Here, what worked was his Buddhi Chakra. The Buddhi Chakra, or the higher intelligence, or the higher self, is looking over you. It is watching you. In many situations, especially life-threatening situations, it takes hold of your body. It knows more than you, and it pulls you out of certain situations. It could be certain situations where your reputation is at risk, or certain situations where your life or family is at risk, or your money is at risk. When you have good karma, that good karma protects you. And the Buddhi Chakra here is more active. It takes control of your body and it just moves you aside. It's like some higher force has made you to do something. And by doing that act, you have saved yourself or you have saved people around you. To understand this example even better, you need to understand how your body, mind function. What is individual consciousness? If you think of the universal consciousness as a sea, you are a drop of that sea. That drop is the individual consciousness. That is your Jivatma. The Jivatma resides here. Then your body and mind, the dimensions that you experience, your physical reality, they all are an expression of Shakti. So the individual consciousness is an expression of Shiva. This is not subject to change. It is always there. It is always watching. This is the changeless aspect within you, your pure state, whereas everything else is subject to change. The mind, the realities that you inhabit, your bodies, the various layers of your body, everything is subject to change, and that is called as Prakriti or Shakti. So from Mool Prakriti, these are just the expressions, various expressions of Shakti or the Mother Goddess. So from Prakriti comes Mahat or Buddhi. This Buddhi is your higher self. You can even call this as a universal mind. So from Buddhi comes Ahankara, that is the sense of being separate from others around you. You see yourself as a separate entity. And then comes Manas, your thinking capability. Then your Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas. All these things, if you notice in the picture, they're all in the control of Buddhi. So when Buddhi is controlling your life, it is automatically controlling your body also. It is controlling your senses also. It is controlling your ego also. So the example which I just referred to in this video a few minutes ago, where the person unknowingly is moved aside without his involvement, this happens because the Buddhi Chakra can control your movement. It controls your actions. It can control your hands, your legs. Even without your involvement, the Buddhi Chakra can just move you aside without your knowledge. So your entire body is under the control of the Buddhi Chakra. For a normal person, the ego takes control. As long as the ego is running the show in your life, the Buddhi is watching. It does not interfere. Because here your vibratory level is so less that you cannot access the Buddhi that is there within you. To be able to access the Buddhi even a little in your life, the vibration level should be a little higher. As your vibratory level is increasing, the more Buddhi will start showing your inner reality to you. It will allow you to understand that you exist beyond this physical existence. You are there at other levels too. That is why when people are awakening, the Buddhi is showing the path or guiding their path. They will slowly realize that they are not just in this physical reality, they exist in other dimensions too. They realize that they're a star seed or a twin flame. They can feel certain spiritual things happening in their life, synchronicities, body vibrations, other Kundalini symptoms that they experience. All these things start coming into their experience when we are moving away from the ego and we are seeking to live from a higher level of intelligence. The more we try to live from a higher level of intelligence, the more the Buddhi will start working in your body. In a person who has a personality disorder or somebody who is living life from fear, the insula is not very well developed. The grey matter is not well formed, but the insula can be changed. It can be changed through various methods. When the insula is changing, it is getting thicker, it is getting well formed. More grey matter forms in the insula. This is your Buddhi, your higher self. That starts guiding your life more. The egoic structure, which is very hard, it runs our body, our life. This is very difficult to break through. And when we are trying to break through these egoic structures, it gets released as pain, we are suffering, we are crying. Everything that is about ignorance, and that ignorance is there within us, all that gets released in a spiritual awakening process, so that can be replaced by light or higher intelligence, that is the Buddhi. If you have read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, think that you are in a chariot and the horses, they are your senses. If the show is run by the ego, then your senses will run amok. You cannot control them. The chariot will run wild. It can run this way, that way. It can topple. You can fall from your chariot. Because here the ego is running the show. It is just the animals are running berserk. They're pulling the chariot in every particular direction. But once your Buddhi wakens, or once your Buddhi takes the reins or the control of the horses, then the horses will start listening to the charioteer. The charioteer is the Buddhi or the higher self. And once your life is guided by the higher self or the Buddhi, your chariot will never go in the wrong direction. You are in total control of your emotions, your thoughts. You have gained mastery over your emotional body, your physical body, and your mental body. You are now the ruler of your life, and the ego has to sit in the back seat. When this happens, you are able to process the information coming from the external reality correctly. Here, the Buddhi is looking at the reality not from the filters. That is why you are able to gauge the external reality correctly, and then you are more self-aware also. So you can see your inner flaws. Because of this, you become a better decision maker, a better problem solver, and you are able to heal yourself. By this time, you have already healed yourself. Your awareness is working at a very high level. That is why in an earlier situation, had it been maybe 10 years ago, the earlier person you are, somebody could have duped you. They could have tricked you into maybe a relationship, or maybe they could have tricked you into giving them money. But now you've healed. When you again come across such people, you can see through their motives. Nothing is hidden from you, because here the higher self is watching. The higher self is processing information correctly without any filters. The information is processed even at this level in your gut area. But this gut area is functioning along with your Buddhi Chakra. And once this information from your gut reaches the Insula, the Insula decides whether this information is a threat, or how should it process this information. It is at the level of the Insula. If the Insula is not working properly, then the information goes to the amygdala, and we are caught up in the fight and flight mechanism. But when the Insula processes the information correctly, we sort of do not react impulsively to the external situation. Here too, after processing, the information goes to the amygdala, but here the Buddhi Chakra has processed the information so correctly that you do not feel fear. You start responding to the external stimuli. You don't see it as a threat. Then you respond correctly, and you are more self-aware too, and you understand the situation better here. So whatever your response is, it is a healthy response to the external situation. So you have to live your life from the level of the Buddhi Chakra. That way you are in control of your mind and body. Your insula is what makes you feel thirsty, hungry, feeling the need to take rest. All this comes from that. Even the various addictions one person has, he will have it if the insula is not working properly. Say for example, somebody who has an eating disorder, disorder will come to that person because the insula is not working properly. They feel hungry, but then they do not know when that hunger has subsided. No matter how much they eat, they're still feeling hungry. And that is why they are constantly eating. They gain weight, they can't lose weight. Addictions are of many types. It could be alcoholic, it could be that they are into drugs, some have smoking habits, some are sex addicts, some are addicts to gossip, some just want to get themselves into high risk situations. They're addicted to that. So they are constantly sort of putting themselves into dangerous situations. For some, they need to be center stage in limelight. That is like, it gives them that kick in life. They feel like they are alive. So there are various things to which we are addicted. And these addictions control our life. When the insula is not working properly, we are living within the grip of these various types of addictions. When the insula is functioning correctly, we are able to overcome our addictions. The way we process pain in our body, the pathways, insula is what does that. It needs to work well. Even in spiritual healing, the insula has to work properly. It is only when the insular cortex works properly we can heal our past. Insula, it sort of controls the sympathetic, the parasympathetic nervous system within our body. The feeling that, this is me, I am this person, the sense of owning this body that comes from the insula. And not just that, even the self-awareness that you know that you exist and you're able to reflect upon your behaviors, this also comes from the Buddhi Chakra. All types of emotions, it can be fear, envy, distrust, sadness, pain, or even the positive emotions like generosity or devotion, connection with God. All these things, they come from the insular cortex. So when the insular cortex is well formed, you are able to transform a lot of negative emotions into positive emotions. The sense of belonging or not belonging to a group, it comes from insula cortex. From my experience, what I have noticed that is when the insula works very nicely, the person does not want to belong to any group. They see themselves as different from others around them. They think different. They think of themselves as a starseed, or they come from some higher dimension, or they feel that they have a connection to the divine. All these things come from here. Even those states, those spiritual states where you feel, drunk upon the divinity, or where you feel drunk upon by divine bliss, those states also, they come from this region, because your Buddhi Chakra is in your causal body. The causal body is where the Amrita is. So when Buddhi is working nicely inside you, you will feel those waves of bliss, the waves of joy moving through your body. To be able to experience these states of bliss, the Buddhi Chakra has to work properly. Our brain, it is divided into three parts. The lower reptilian brain, the middle brain, and then the upper brain, which is the cortical brain. The blue area which you see here is where you have the insula in your brain. So in a way, this insula, it is connecting your middle limbic brain to many regions in the upper cortical brain. That is why when the insula is working fine, the upper brain, all this area here, the frontal lobe, everything, they are working. There is more nervous activity happening there. New nervous connections are formed. And that is why you feel a lot of energetic movements in this area in a spiritual awakening process. In a normal person, not many nervous connections are there in the upper area of the brain. Once the insula is working well, it changes the way the nervous pathways function in your body. It creates new nervous connections in your body, because this is where, most parts of your upper brain, they're connected to the insula. So what I noticed in a Kundalini awakening process is the Kundalini, when it is moving through the spine, it moves through this insula into the upper brain area. That is why when the Buddhi Chakra activates in your body, or when the higher self is more leading your life, you will notice lot of nervous activity, or lot of buzzing noises inside the head, or lot of electrical sensations on the top part of your brain. In our pranic sheath, we have a nadi called the Shankhini Nadi. This connects the digestive system with the region of the Buddhi Chakra in the head. In the first image here, you can see the Shankhini Nadi. The Shankhini Nadi, the food that gets digested in our stomach, the essence of that food, it travels through the Shankhini Nadi and it goes up into the head. The region of where the Buddhi Chakra is, around that region, the essence of food gets transformed into various neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters, they decide the emotional state which you are in, your anger, or your deep connection to somebody, your sense of well-being, feeling pain, feeling sad, depressed, everything. Most of these, the kind of emotions you experience, they come from the neurotransmitters that are produced predominantly in this region, because neurotransmitters, most of them are produced here. Few are produced in other areas of your body also. The Shankhini Nadi, it does not lead up to the Sahasrara Chakra. It ends at the level of the Buddhi Chakra region. And this carries the essence of food which gets transformed into neurotransmitters there. Your stomach is not only digesting food, it is even digesting thoughts, emotions, lot of external information is getting processed in your gut. So essence of all that is going up to the insula in your head. When your insula is not functioning the way it should function, then the ego is controlling your life, and the amygdala is what is more deciding how you perceive the external reality and how you react to it. But when you are living like this, your ego is not healthy. You feel threatened, you feel traumatic, you feel pained in many ways, you feel let down, or you could have been very greedy, you could have taken high risk decisions in your life. So the way you look at life, your perceptions, your understanding, your awareness is at a very low level. But once the insula is well formed, the gray cells are there, it is thicker, you can actually increase the size of your insula. We need to sharpen the knife once in a while so that it cuts vegetables better. In the same way, we can train our insula to work better. When we are involved in certain activities, these activities will promote the growth, the thickness of our insula, better functioning of insula, and increase the gray cells in the insula. Then we will be able to access our higher self even better. The insula or the Buddhi Chakra, it can be developed. It can be developed through austerities, when we are chanting mantras, when we are connecting with a higher deity, when we are devotional, when we are generous when we are meditating, when we are developing good qualities within us, when we are using gamma wave tools as part of our spiritual practices. For example, listening to music or listening to sounds which are of 200 hertz gamma wave sounds. They also promote the healthy formation of the insula. Deep belly breathing also enhances the function of the insular cortex. When we are more aware of our faults, when we are trying to change ourselves to become wiser, we are putting in effort, we are seeking truth. Even in such scenarios, your insula will start functioning even better. When you're questioning life, you're being mindful. People generally live their life worrying or feeling bad about their past or worrying for their future. That is, they're in fear here. But the ability to live in present, it comes from your Buddhi Chakra or the Insula. When the Buddhi Chakra is directing your life, you will live more in the present moment. When you are making a conscious effort to live in the present moment, or when you are into meditative practices like the mindfulness meditation, where you bring your entire focus onto the present moment, you're focusing on the air that is touching your skin, you're focusing on your feet, your hand. It's a kind of meditative tool that you can use, where maybe through the meditation, you are, at least for that time period, in the present. These type of meditative practices, they help to strengthen your insular cortex. Or when you are involved in selfless service, where you're feeding the poor or you're helping somebody to build their life, that will also help your insular cortex to strengthen. Some people can postpone gratification. When I say postponing gratification, it simply means that you can do a work without looking for the rewards immediately. For example, if you have to qualify for some test, maybe you have to prepare for the test for 1 year. The ability to concentrate, to put your entire focus, that seriousness that is required, and then put in hard work for 1 year and wait for 1 year for the result. This simply means that you're postponing the reward for a year. So many people cannot do that. Many people want instant gratification. Where you're able to postpone the reward for 1 year and you're able to work for that reward, put aside all other pleasures and just work, focus on your work, your insula will become well developed. For people who cannot postpone gratification, the insula cannot develop. For example, if you ask somebody, I'll give you $10 today, but if you wait, then I'll give you $100 after 10 days. Then this person, if he cannot postpone gratification, he will say, I don't want $100, give me today's $10. So this type of a person cannot postpone gratification. Or rather, when the insular cortex is not well developed, they cannot postpone gratification. When the buddhi is working well, you will have a higher intuitive connection, the kind of knowing that you have that comes beyond books. It comes from your higher self. You are able to experience higher states of consciousness, like the witness state of consciousness. You are able to experience samadhi states. All these come from the healthy insular cortex. Above all, the connection with the divine that we feel in our prayers, in states of deep samadhi or blissful states, it all comes from the Buddhi Chakra or the insula region of your brain. These are the various qualities of the Buddhi Chakra. The Buddhi Chakra, it has 16 petals. And on these 16 petals are 16 qualities. I have mentioned all these 16 qualities here. When the Buddhi Chakra is working well, the person expresses these qualities. Anything of lower quality emotion, something like anger or hatred, that will be transformed by the Buddhi Chakra into one of these qualities. It is only when the Buddhi Chakra works well in a person that the person is able to maintain the witness stance that is required for spiritual evolution. The person can overcome lower animalistic qualities that are present in his life. He is able to transmute even negative inputs that come from his environment into something positive and beautiful within himself. He becomes like a transmuting machine. And this comes when the fire of knowledge burns well in the Buddhi Chakra, or when the insular cortex is well formed. When a person's Buddhi Chakra is working well, these qualities are expressed by that person. Or when you try to develop one of these qualities, the Buddhi Chakra starts functioning well and the other qualities can blossom within you. So either ways, for example, if you are very generous, you are generous with words, you are generous with actions, and your intention is good, it is to help others. You like to build things, you like to take care, you like to nurture things. You are only spreading joy and happiness around you. When you are living like this, the other qualities with regard to Buddhi Chakra will start blossoming within you. And then the Buddhi Chakra, it's very well formed within your psychic system. And here on, the Buddhi Chakra will guide your life, or your higher self will guide your life. Now this person will not identify himself with the limited being that he was earlier. Now he sees himself as the Buddhi, or the higher discrimination or discretion that is running his life. So the person at this level, when he refers to himself, he is referring to the higher self that is operating within him, because he is looking at life through the Buddhi Chakra. And when you are looking at life through the Buddhi Chakra, you are seeing truth in the external reality and you are more self-aware. And generally, when this is happening, many karmic relationships will go away from your life. Many situations will go away from your life. The reason being, the Buddhi Chakra is able to show you that this relationship is a karmic relationship. It is not a soul relationship. We all are aware that our brain, it is divided into two segments, the left brain and the right brain. In a normal person, these two units work separately. They are connected to, not that they are not connected, but the nervous connections are not too many. And that is why they experience more duality. They see things as different from them. In a spiritual awakening process, the nervous activity increases in both the brains, new neural pathways are formed, and this is when, especially when spiritual transformation has reached higher levels, the two brains start wiring up even more. When that happens, the brain starts working as one unit. When the brain starts working as one unit, you are higher in awareness, your healing is faster, you are able to express your inner truth to the external world. But to reach that level, we need to heal. And as part of healing, people generally experience a lot of pain, they feel anger, and in these situations, they start crying. In one phase, or generally in phases, we cry a lot. When we are crying, we are releasing toxins from our body, we are healing, we are gaining the right perspective, we unload a lot of unwanted emotions from our body, we feel good. Sometimes we bond after we cry, we feel good about crying. When we cry, tears roll down our eyes, from which eye first teardrop started can give you information as to what you are dealing with in that situation or what you are crying about. For example, when you are confused, you are stuck, you feel you're in a dark place, you don't know how to move out of it, you're in a dilemma, you start crying, then the first tear drop, it comes out of your right eye. The first drop. Your left eye will also start crying. More tears will drop. This is when your eyes are healthy. If somebody has some tear duct problem, they're not able to cry properly, there is a problem with their eye. I'm not talking about those type of situations. Here, when your eyes are functional, they're healthy, and when you're crying, the first teardrop rolls from your right eye, it simply means you're confused, you're stuck in a dark place, you don't know how to move forward. That is when the first teardrop comes from your right eye. The right eye is connected to the left brain. In the same way, the left eye is connected to the right brain. That is why when somebody is healing from past pain, he is crying, then the tears, they roll down first from the left eye, the first teardrop. This type of crying is healing. Even when we are healing, we are going through that pain, but here we are releasing that pain. That pain that is accumulated in your body as cellular memory, which is there in your body, is getting released, transmuted as tears. The toxins which are there, they are getting released like that. The tears, they are releasing inflammatory cytokines, they are releasing stored energy, especially that type of energy which stays in your body. It can turn into rheumatoid arthritis. Many people, they experience inflammation in a spiritual awakening process. This happens because of all that negative emotions that are stored in our body, and in the situations where we felt unsafe. And as long as we are feeling unsafe, we are living a high risk life and we're not sure about life. This creates a lot of negative energy within our body, and this negative energy, when it's stored in our body and we do not transmute this energy, it can turn into inflammation, and as we age, it can turn into joint pains, arthritis, and these type of pains, they become a part of our life. It is very difficult to get rid of these pains. People take medicines, medication, only painkillers work here. That is because these type of pains come when a person does not feel safe. This stored energy, negative energy, it needs to be transformed into something. When it is transformed into understanding, forgiveness, empathy, awareness, then this gets released through tears. When we are crying, we are releasing oxytocin in our body. We are releasing opioids or endorphins. These are feel-good chemicals. This helps us to sort of release the emotional pain. Some of these can even release parts of the memory that is associated with pain within us. Most importantly, we are releasing away the negative energy as tears. That is why in a spiritual awakening process, people cry a lot. They cry for years together. Some cry for no reason. And when they're crying, they are just releasing away all this unwanted energy from their body. That is why when people cry a lot, and these are tears that heal, they do not develop inflammation. The inflammation goes away from our body after some time. You will not develop arthritis in your old age. But people who have narcissistic personality disorders, or people who have undergone a lot of pain and trauma in life and they did not know how to deal with that pain and trauma, they could not transmute it, they are the ones who develop inflammation and joint pains, and these type of pains stay in their life. If you look at yogis or monks who have, meditated a lot, with a lot of yogic practices to keep their body flexible or to keep transmuting all the lower aspects within themselves into something higher, they will not have any knee pains or joint pains in their old age. You will see a 90-year-old Himalayan yogi sitting in the lotus posture for hours together without any problem. And he has no knee pains or joint pains. When we cannot transmute the negative energy within us into something higher, it gets converted into inflammation and pain. What I've understood in the spiritual awakening process is people who have not felt safe major part of their life, they are the ones who can develop inflammation or arthritis, or the ones who feel threatened constantly, and because they feel threatened they want to attack others. They are the ones, the structures, the psychic structures in their body become fixed. They are not releasing the energy in these fixed structures. The fixed structures, they are there as part of your tissue, especially in the joints. It becomes pain and inflammation. The other type of tears where we are crying for somebody else, these are tears of compassion. The tears of compassion, they change the brain chemistry. The tears of empathy, or you can even call these as spiritual tears. Here, when you're crying for somebody else, the frontal brain is working more. This area gets stimulated. You experience compassion. Compassion is a quality of the Buddhi Chakra. And the insula is connected to this frontal region. So when you are able to cry for others genuinely out of compassion, it just shows that you understand that you're connected to everything in this universe. And this connection that you feel, it comes from the insula. That is, the insula is working well within your body. These tears of compassion, what I noticed is they come simultaneously from both the eyes. They may not flow down a lot, it depends on the situation, but they just sort of wet your eyes, and maybe a drop or two might roll down. But this is not like the tears where, when we are healing, especially the healing phase, we cry loads of tears. So that is different. We experience different brainwave states depending on what we are doing. If you are in deep sleep state, you will experience the delta wave. If you are in a state of meditation or too relaxed, you experience the theta wave. When you are positive, you are learning something, you experience the alpha state. When you are focusing your attention, when you are problem solving, you are in the beta state, a little higher frequency. In some states, we are able to access the gamma waves. The gamma waves, they will help to generate higher altruistic behaviors within you. Here your self-awareness level is high. For example, compassion, which I just spoke about, where you are crying for the others. This type of compassion is not because you are suffering. You're not crying for yourself. You're crying for others who are in pain. Very few can do this. Most people cannot do this, especially those who have a narcissistic personality disorder. They take pleasure in somebody else's suffering. They feel happy when somebody else is suffering. Or people in general don't care about others' suffering. They are so selfish. The ego here is playing the major role in their life. So they cannot even feel compassion for their own child suffering. There are very few people on this earth who can cry for others, who can empathize and understand somebody else's suffering and pain genuinely. For them, they experience the gamma waves in their head. Or you can say that gamma waves are linked to these higher levels of thinking in a person, which come from the Buddhi Chakra. When a person in whom the Insula, the Buddhi Chakra is well developed, they have a higher level of thinking and they're sitting in deep meditation, they will listen to a lot of buzzing noises inside their head. It feels like a lot of bees are fluttering their wings or flying inside their brain. And this is generally accompanied by electrical sensations or movements or pranic movements in this upper part of the head. This happens when that person is experiencing gamma waves inside their head. For those who meditate a lot or due to other, austerities, they experience lot of gamma wave activity inside their head, lot of buzzing noises inside their head. The gamma wave, it changes the brain chemistry. Here, this person in this gamma wave activity experiences time differently, in the sense that the time feels like it has slowed down. The person moves into a witness state easily. As he has moved into witness state, he is able to look at life through detachment. Inner wisdom, self-awareness increases here. The gamma waves, generally they can, the frequency can go up till 200 hertz. Even if the brain activity goes up to 80 hertz in the person's head, the person is able to unlock the potential in the brain. At that level, he may feel connected to things around him, the people, the external environment. The production of gamma waves, it increases the various qualities that are linked with the Buddhi Chakra. The two insula can be compared to the two wings of the bee. So when the buzzing noise is heard inside the head, it is accompanied with the gamma wave activity. And this is a kind of healing sound. It helps you to heal and increase the sattvic qualities, or all those qualities that are there in the Buddhi Chakra in your subtle body. Here you are making a connection with your higher self, and the higher self will guide your life hereafter. And that is why at this level you feel connected to everything and everyone. Compassion is very high. So at this level you can understand somebody else's suffering, you can empathize with somebody else's issues in life. This is Shakambari Devi. Shakambari Devi is Shakti. It is a form of the Adipara Shakti, the goddess Durga. And in this form, you will see her as the bearer of fruits, vegetables, the food that we need to survive. Basically, plant-based food. The legend goes that the Devatas, or the guardians of the human race, who were supposed to provide them with food and water, they did not do their duties. And there was this great famine on earth. All plants were destroyed, there was no food to eat. So the great sages and saints were worried over the future of humanity. They prayed to the Mother Goddess to provide them with food and water. The Mother Goddess, seeing the plight of humans, she broke down into tears. Tears of compassion rolled from her eyes, and not just her eyes, from all those eyes that are there on her body. She has 100 eyes on her body. And the reason she has 100 eyes on her body is she is so compassionate that all that compassion had to pour out of her. 2 eyes are not enough. So more eyes were required. So the Devi, she took this form and she cried for 9 days and 9 nights out of compassion, seeing the plight of humans. She came with abundance of plants, that is fruits, vegetables, that humans need to survive. Their honeybees in her head. So she came with all these gifts, the tears of compassion that rolled from her various eyes. They filled earth with water, and the goddess blessed earth with many different types of vegetation, that is plants of different types, both medicinal and plants which can be eaten, in general all greenery that we see outside. So she is called as Shakambari Devi, and she is a form of Durga. So Shakambari Devi is still prayed to in many temples in India on certain specific occasions, specific days. The goddess is dressed with various types of fruits and vegetables, and we seek her blessings so that the Divine Mother will always bless us with food, and her tears of compassion will help us also to develop the traits of compassion within us so that we can spiritually evolve. The Shakambari Devi here, you will see a lot of honeybees coming out from top of her head. The honeybees are on this part of her head, the top part. The honeybees, they help flowers to pollinate. When a plant, it bears flower, the flower has both the male and the female reproductive organs within it. The male parts are called the anther and the female parts are called the pistil. There should be an exchange of the pollen happening from the male parts to the female parts. And the bees do this in nature. If bees were not there in nature, the flowers would not turn into vegetables or fruits. The flowers will just dry and fall away. So apart from planting these various trees, the goddess even gifted the bees so that they can do the pollination activity. In the same way, in our subtle body, the inner masculine and inner feminine energies have to come together. When we are living from the higher intelligence, the gamma wave activity is happening in our brain. The Ida and Pingala Nadis, or rather the left side of every human body, is the feminine side. The right side is the masculine side. So the inner division that is there in our body, that comes together into union in the form of Ida and Pingala. They get activated. So there is a union of the inner masculine and feminine energies happening at the body level and next at the brain level also. Our brain also is divided into the left side and the right side. The right brain is your feminine energy and the left brain is your masculine energy. So they also have to integrate there. So in a way, the goddess Shakambari Devi, she blesses so that the integration of our inner masculine and feminine energies happens. When we are listening to a lot of bee-like noises inside our head, we have to understand that this is a healing noise. This represents that gamma waves are working through your brain. Your higher intelligences are coming active. The insula is working well. The higher self will now direct your life more. Your body is preparing for the integration of inner masculine and feminine energies. Apart from that, what do bees do? They collect honey. Honeycomb is filled with honey. In the same way, our body too has many layers or sheaths. Innermost of it is the bliss sheath. The bliss sheath is where we have our Amrita. Amrita is that charged liquid that our brain generates in a spiritual awakening process. When the brain chemistry is altered and we are able to operate from higher levels of consciousness, the higher brain centers activate, the cerebrospinal fluid in our body gets electrified, it gets ionized, and it drips as Amrita. And there are many who do Kechari Mudra, that is, they fold their tongue and take it up behind their nose like that, and they try to take those drops onto their tongue. When somebody is undergoing a top-down awakening, they will notice that the cerebrospinal fluid is dripping behind their nose down. And they try to collect it, and they say when they collect this makes them feel good. It sort of satiates their hunger. The need for water is gone down. They feel less fatigued. So there are many different explanations or different experiences one has when they experience the secretion of the Amrita within their body. But with somebody who has a down-up Kundalini awakening, they've experienced this Amrita dripping from the Sahasrara Chakra into the head like some kind of a liquid light. And then there is this Bliss Chakra in this region. Okay, that Bliss Chakra that is linked to your pineal gland. From there, that person will experience the drop of Amrita. And the way I saw it in my head was like a thick honey drop, which was like bright light that was dripping inside my subtle body. Now this gets here into the Vishuddha Chakra, where it is generally taken in by the Vishuddha Chakra, and then it is circulated throughout the body. So this is my experience with regarding to the Amrita. This type of Amrita, which one experiences in a down-up Kundalini awakening process, when somebody has this highly concentrated Amrita fill their system, they experience waves of bliss in their body. They feel connected to the divine. They have higher level meditative experiences. Few experience altered states of consciousness. This changes any remaining limited aspects within the person. The person goes into deep states of samadhi here. There are many yogis in Himalayas who have been meditating for years together, and they do not eat or drink, and they do not feel fatigue. They sit in the same posture for days together. They don't get up even to have water. They just survive feeding on this inner honey that is dripping within their body. Shakambari Devi, if you'll see here, they are in the head region of Shakambari Devi, the bees. So it is the same area where the Amrita is also found within our body. You can see the link between the awakening process and goddess Shakambari Devi. So this inner Amrita is a blessing of the goddess Shakambari Devi. Here you can understand the links between the various words I've written. The mother Shakambari, she is all eyes. She is watching over her children. The tears that emanate from her, they come from higher emotions like kindness or compassion. Our kindness for others, it can transmute our lower ego. It helps us to create a healthy ego. When we can override our own pain and insecurities, only then can we understand somebody else's pain and insecurities. Our ego, it has to break. It is only when the ego breaks a little each time we are undergoing the spiritual transformation, and the tears that get released because of the breakage of this ego, this helps to heal us. When we heal, we are able to move into higher states. The warmth that we feel in our stomach, it is the warmth of the mother. The mother that not only gives you food, she even transmutes your food. She transmutes your emotions. All this is connected to the fire element, Agni, that operates both in your stomach and in your Buddhi Chakra. The denser emotions are transmuted into tears, and when we cry, we are creating a space within us in which higher light can come or higher energy can descend into. The more we change ourselves, the more the higher self takes control of us, the more we will experience the play of gamma waves within us, and then the dripping of the honey. Generally, in a spiritual awakening process, you will realize that at a level, after you process much of your lower egoic nature, you realize that you were not able to look at the external world properly, or you were not able to understand somebody else's pain because you had your personal hurt. You did not process it. Once you have understood how to transform your hurt into lessons, that is when you can see how many around you are in pain and suffering and how many need help. That is when you realize it, and that is when you start reaching out to others. In a way, you can say that when somebody connects with their higher self, they start working on a mission. They realize they have a mission to remove suffering, to spread love, to spread knowledge, to spread light. This is exactly where a person who was just living for himself or for his family, that person now is able to go beyond that zone to help others around him. He becomes a person of value for the society. He starts helping and reaching out to people and or those who need him in the society. You will experience the presence of Shakambari Devi in your life when you pray to her. There are many methods of praying to her. During Shakambari Navaratri, where people fast and they pray to Shakambari Devi, they seek her blessings. Apart from that, you have mantra of Shakambari Devi, which you can use on a daily basis. Chant her name 108 times and make a connection with this deity. Generally, mantra chanting or any prayer is done on empty stomach. You can even please the goddess by donating food to others. If they are poor people around the place where you live, donate food for them or buy them food substances so that they can cook for themselves. If you cannot afford to do it, at least make sure that everybody in your home eats well. Even the animals and plants are taken care of. When you're nurturing and taking care of others, you please the goddess Shakambari Devi. When you have compassion for others, she comes into your life. And how do you know that she comes into your life? Especially in a spiritual awakening process, and when you're calling out to her, you will hear bees buzzing inside your head. That is the gamma wave activity in the Buddhi Chakra region or the upper brain region will increase a lot. You will feel waves of bliss inside your stomach. When you sit in meditation on an empty stomach and you pray to Shakambari Devi, when the goddess is giving her blessings to you, it feels like waves of bliss moving through your stomach. And from the stomach region, the waves of bliss move out to other areas in your body. So your entire body is sort of in this bliss state. This is because Buddhi Chakra is in the causal region where the Amrita is there. And goddess Shakambari Devi, she nourishes you with this Amrita. It is her blessing. The development of the Insula, the Buddhi Chakra activation, it has a profound impact on your mind and body. Firstly, if somebody has a lot of addictions, then it is always wise to seek a connection with a deity. That way you will overcome your addictions faster. There are many different types of addictions, and these addictions keep us trapped in lower egoic nature. So overcoming that will help us to activate and strengthen our insula, make it stronger, thicker with lot of gray cells. Increasing sattvic qualities. I just listed out the qualities of the Buddhi Chakra in this video. Even if you develop those qualities, the insula will get strengthened. Or when the Buddhi Chakra is activated, you as a natural expression will express those qualities to the external world. And many negative emotions within you will get transformed into those qualities. So there is a kind of healing happening when the negative emotions within you are transforming into higher qualities. That way you are totally healed. You are more self-aware. With this, the need to chatter, or rather the ego which is constantly chatting in the background, that goes silent, because now you are not interested in the ego. You are directed by the higher self. So the ego loses hold over you. It is the ego that constantly chatters. Once you do not show any interest in the chattering falls away. You are a better problem solver. You have the right type of attitude towards life. Your thinking is correct. It is not colored by any lower quality emotion, or it is not colored by your memories or by your behavioral loops. So here your ego is operating very healthy. That simply means that you are healthy in body and mind. And even if you feel any negative emotion in a situation, you can easily transmute that negative emotion into something higher within yourself. The digestive flame is healthy, and the same flame works in the Buddhi Chakra and keeps your intellect also superior and healthy, because of which you will experience reduced inflammation in your body, better digestive activity in your stomach. You are more connected to your inner intuition, creativity. You have formed a connection with your higher self, and the higher self will take charge of your life hereafter. When the insula is getting changed in your body, you will need foods to help the process go smoothly in your body. So basically, the various foods that are used by the insula in this transmutation phase, I have listed them here. Apart from that, you stay away from unnecessary junk food, sugar, unhealthy foods, addictions. Stay away from all these things. And of course, when your insula develops, or when it is well developed, you will automatically move away from such types of foods. You will be able to understand that your foods have chemicals. For example, when you are unawakened, you would eat any junk food and it would feel delicious for you in your mouth. But once you are awakened and the Buddhi Chakra works well, when you put the processed food in your mouth, you no longer enjoy it like you used to enjoy it in your earlier days. Now you can taste the chemicals that are there in the food. It feels artificial. You crave for natural foods, organic foods. So you are eating right automatically. You eat at least a small bowl of lentils on a daily basis. This will give you the required amount of protein that your body needs. Drink milk, yogurt. You can have ghee too. Nowadays, many of them are not eating ghee, but ghee is brain food. So please include good quality cow ghee into your diet. Apart from that, A2 milk is very good. They are supplements for the better functioning of insula. In case you are experiencing a lot of gamma wave activity in your head, a lot of buzzing noise, and then a lot of activity in this region, then if you need extra supplements, you can take acetylcholine food supplements. There are many acetylcholine food supplements. I've only given one or two here. You can Google up other supplements. Along with that, take vitamin B12, because when you take vitamin B12, it allows for the proper absorption of the acetylcholine. So ginkgo biloba is one, and the other one is rhodiola rosea. Normally, the food which we take, it is enough for the supporting the process. But in case you feel that you are fatigued, you're worn out in the spiritual awakening process, then you can take these supplements. Now, when somebody is blessed by Shakambari Devi, you have other synchronicities happening in your life. For example, when you see a lot of bees in your life, bees are visiting you, you see bees in your visions or in your dream space, understand that you're being blessed by the goddess, or that the Buddhi Chakra is getting activated within your body. And if you see any shapes or anything that is related to the bees, like honey, or the hexagonal structures that are there in the honeycomb, if you see them externally, understand that the Buddhi Chakra in your body is activating. When you listen to a lot of noises like fluttering noises, bees, buzzing noises inside your head, when you're able to easily be in the present moment, when you can uh, experience higher qualities within yourself, when you're able to maintain the witness stance at least for temporary states, understand that the higher self is taking charge of your body. Welcome it, allow it to transform you, and hereafter you will work from your Buddhi Chakra. The limited being which was operating from the stomach chakra will get replaced by the higher self that is operating from the Buddhi Chakra. But to reach that level, you have to sacrifice a lot of things which were part of your earlier uh, life. Karmic relationships go away. You have to transform your pain through tears. You have to transform a lot of your negative emotions into higher uh, learnings or higher awareness or higher qualities. Your memories will fall away. Everything that you thought you were, has to be sacrificed to reach this level of living from the higher self. Here you are living from deep compassion for all beings. You are living life correctly. Your inner discretion is working wonderfully. It is guiding your life. And you are blessed by the goddess. So be blessed by the goddess and be happy, be compassionate. So pray to the goddess, connect to her, or connect to your higher chakra and live your life from higher discretion. Thank you.